I am a man of honor, integrity, and promise. I pursue all righteousness. I love my family. I will not put my family in harm's way. There is nothing that will keep me from doing the right thing. I am an ambassador of hope and a man of discipline. I am a man worth following. I am a TYRO.
Welcome to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Cathy.
And I'm Kathy TYRO. And we're so glad you joined us today. Before we get started in our topic, I just want to tell you a little bit about Ron and I and our journey. Back in 1991, Ron went to prison and spent 15 years in the system while my two small sons and I navigated on the outside. But through that experience, our family became stronger and healthier and much more successful. And success, I'm not talking about money, I'm not talking about things, I'm talking about the joy that comes from having healthy relationships. And so now we want to help you navigate through this time so that you too can become successful and have your family on the right path.
So today's topic is just that, extreme makeover. How do you transform your thinking, your inner being, if you will, into a man of honor? How does that happen? What's the process that must take place in order for you to be taken at your word?
When we hear the term extreme makeover, we usually think about cosmetic changes or maybe changes in wardrobe.
Well, how about getting a six-pack?
Or getting a six-pack, that's right, or a nose job. But those things are so superficial, and those are not the things that are going to help you get where you want to go. So when we talk about extreme makeover today, we're talking about changing the way you think, changing the way you act, and thereby changing your outcomes and your propensity for success.
You know, one of the things that happens in prison, you get this thing called state pay, right? And the state pay, usually in the state of Ohio anyways, is like $18 a month, right? And everybody across the board is getting $18 a month. And why does that happen? You know, there's a thing on the streets called income, but we couldn't be taken at our word or we were not men of honor where we could be trusted with the amount of money. So now we're given an allowance of $18 a month because we couldn't handle anything greater than that. So we're starting all over. It's an allowance. If you can master $18 a month, gentlemen, then you can be trusted to handle $100,000 a year. But this is called integrity. This is called good character. The extreme makeover takes place within a man, not without.
So many times we hear the term, oh, I'm just going to fake it till I make it. I'm just going to fake it till I make it. And the truth is you can't fake it till you make it. If you're not who you say you are, you will be found out for who you really are. So the truth is you have to make it so you don't have to fake it.
So you can't snow the snowman, guys. You know, you can pretend who you are. And as Kathy was just saying, if you are not who you say you are, you will be exposed for who you really are. And so, the process that it takes place in prison, you get off the bus, you go to your parent institution, you get introduced to your unit and everything else. But all eyes are on who? Just like they are when you hit the streets, all eyes are on you because everybody in there is wondering, is he a thief? Can he be taken at his word? Is he going to be part of a gang? Is he going to have to join a gang because he's afraid and all these things that happen? But when you begin to find true grit within you, when you begin to hold your head up and you begin the small steps, the small increments it takes to really find change within yourself, people begin to see that and they can understand, if you're going to borrow a suit from somebody, they can take you at your word that you're going to give it back.
So what we're talking about is when people look at your life, they should see who you really are. And so this whole idea of, I'm going to be responsible here, but I'm going to play this person, I'm going to put on this mask, and I'm going to do that. I mean, that farce cannot continue if you want to be successful. If you don't want to come back here, then it's time. You've got to experience a true makeover. Because if what you're doing does not say who you are, it's time to change what you're doing. And so think about where you want to be and who you really want to be, and you change your attitude, you change your behavior so that is who you are, and therefore that's who you become.
And one of the toughest things to do is when you make that decision, gentlemen, I'm going to change. I'm not going to run with the herd mentality. I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing.
I'm not going to lie anymore. I'm not going to cheat anymore. I'm not going to steal anymore. And all of those are really tough choices. I remember, Ron, a story you shared when you were at, I think it was Allen, it might have been Lima, and you had gone and you went to the commissary and they put something in your bag.
Oh my goodness, that was a test. Now this actually happened to me twice, and Okay, the first time it happened, I got my commissary, went through the line, and they put in an extra, I ordered a card, but they put 2 cards in there. I seen it, right? So I went back, and I was in Lima Correctional, and I went all the way to the unit. So for those of you who know where you're in Lima, everything's inside. So I had a long walk. I was in 1A, so it's a good, maybe about 6-8 minute walk if there's no traffic, right? And so I'm get back to the unit, and I'm having this mind battle. I'm like, man, because I'd like to have the card. But the truth is, I didn't earn the card. I didn't buy the card. So after I put my commissary away, I'm looking at the card, and I say, this isn't my card. I got to do the right thing. And so listen, doing the right thing, is it easy? No, it isn't easy. But I made that conscious decision, I'm going to do the right thing. So I took the card and I walked all the way back to commissary, right? I went in there and knocked on the window and I said, excuse me, this card isn't mine. You put it in my bag. Forgive me for taking it. Here it is. I'm giving it back. And everybody in the line heard me say that. What do you think they said?
Oh, man.
Well, they knew me. Hey, TJ, man, what's wrong with you, man? That was a free card, man. But I stopped and I looked at him. I said, don't you get it? Nobody could take me at my word. I want to be taken at my word. I'm not a thief. I got to give it back. And so that transforms something in my life. And I tell you, there's a saying that we do, that we talk about. You ever hear this about stealing your own joy? Mm-hmm. You steal your own joy. That day, something took place. That morning, I was given a pass to go get a package in the mailroom. And I knew what it was. It was my Walkman and my cassettes. And you know what I'm talking about, guys? When you get your music in the house and you're ready, because now you get to escape with your music, right? So I got my pass to go get my cassette player and my cassettes that morning. Well, that afternoon, I went to commissary, came back, turned the card in, gave it back, had that experience, went back to the mailroom to get my cassette player and my cassettes. And when I opened up my package, I was able to experience the joy of not only being honest, but having the reward. I felt like it was a reward. I was rewarded for my good deed by receiving the cassette and Walkman. Mm-hmm.
Because the truth is, we always think that, well, that big thing, I'm going to wait for that big test. But the truth is every tiny little decision you make every single day that determines your makeover.
Yep.
And so when we get back, we're going to share with you specific things that you can begin to practice that can help you to experience that extreme makeover.
Completion of TYRO Dads is just the beginning of the opportunities available to you. As a TYRO Dad, you will be eligible to participate in workforce strengthening services to help prepare you for employment and open the doors to economic stability for you and your family. The Workforce Strengthening Program starts with job ethics training. Once completed, you may be eligible to receive training to acquire your commercial driver's license while still inside prison. If getting a CDL is not for you, then there is also a welding training program you may be eligible for. As more programs are being added, there really is something for almost everyone.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Cathy TYRO.
And I'm Ron TYRO.
And today we're talking about extreme makeover and what that means for you and your family.
You know, we talked about the importance of becoming a man of character in our first segment. But now we want to talk about actions. We're talking about what does it take? What do you need to do to get from point A to point B to point C? What are you willing to do? You know, what are you willing to expose yourself to become that man of true grit, the man worth following, where your children can take you at your word? Mm-hmm. You know, one of the things that we can do is begin a different type of vocabulary. Affirmations really helped me when I was incarcerated. I started confessing something different I started believing and telling myself, I'm not a liar, I'm not a thief, I'm not an adulterer.
But even before that, Ron, you had to come to a decision to say, I do not want to continue to live this way.
Most definitely.
Right. So the first step is really making that decision, that choice. You know what? I'm not going to continue. And so that's a conscious, you know what? I'm deciding this, and I'm not going to do this anymore. And the next thing.
But you know what? Let's just stay with that a little bit longer, because that's true. Because you're gonna slip, you're gonna fail after the first time you say it. Something's gonna come along, and I don't know if for those of you who ever smoked cigarettes, I used to smoke, and I remember the first time I said, I'm quitting. I'm gonna make a decision. I'm not gonna smoke anymore. Well, guess what? At that moment I didn't smoke, but then something came along. I forgot I made that decision, and out of habit, I picked up a cigarette, lit it, hit. And then after I took my first hit, oh man, I told myself I wasn't going to smoke no more. All right, after this one, I'll start all over again. Right? I mean, that's what you got to do, because you're going to forget that you made that conscious decision. Practice makes what?
Permanent.
And this is practice, practice, practice. You're not perfect, but it can become something permanent in your life. And that's what's exciting about making that conscious decision, that even though you might slip, get back up, man. Somewhere it's written where a true man of true grit, a man of righteousness falls down 7 times, but he gets back up every time.
Single time.
And so you're not going to make it the first day, the second day. And you know what? And those naysayers, those guys that you call your so-called friends, when you make that confession openly, you know what, guys? I'm not going to be the first one to chow anymore. You know what? I'm not going to be caught up in this herd mentality. In fact, when they say chow, this is the first challenge I want to give you guys. When they say chow, sit back and wait and watch. Watch what the people do. And you guys are familiar with pill call, right? When they say pill call, what do you see? All the people run to be the first one in line. And when they say chow, what do? All the people run to the door to be the first one there. Stop. Here's where your first test. Can you not be caught up in that herd mentality? Because a true man of honor, a true man of grit, isn't moved by his circumstances. He's not moved by his environment. He stops and he thinks and he listens and he waits. Because being a true man of grit, true man of integrity, you got to be sharp, man. You got to wait, because there's so many people out there trying to take you out. When you make that conscious decision, I am going to be worth saving. I am going to live this life of honor. I am not going to be moved by what people are saying about me. I know I can do this. I know I can be taken at my word. I know in the past I was a thief. I was a liar. I was a conniver. I was all these things, a manipulator, before I came to prison.
So the very first part is making that conscious decision. And making that decision is hard work, because you have to change the way that you think. You have to change what you do. And so the battle is all inside. You're not fighting anybody but your own habits, your own way of thinking, and your way of doing things that have led up to this point. But the next thing is that decision to say, you know what, I am no longer those things, and every day. And I know, Ron, while you were doing that inside, that was what we were doing on the outside. You know what, I'm not a cheater. I'm not a liar. I no longer take advantage of people. I'm not out just for myself. I want something better for me. I want something better for my family. I am faithful. I'm honorable. I am trustworthy. And saying that every single day, first to the mirror, and the next thing was starting to tell other people. And
you mentioned faithfulness, and I remember when I had to really come to terms. We're talking about all these principles and these words of action. Faithfulness is action. Right. But I needed to know in my life, because I didn't know what true faithfulness was. So I'm talking to myself, and in prison we're allowed to talk to ourselves, right? When you walk the yard, and I ask myself, what does faithfulness look like? What does it look like to be faithful to someone or to an idea? Right? And so I began to really watch how Cathy lived. I began to watch her live. I didn't ask her what it meant. I watched what faithfulness looked like, because Cathy was emanating the word. She became that word, and I was being taught by her lifestyle what it looked like. And I said, you know what? I can be faithful in here. I can be faithful. I don't need to go borrow something from somebody and not pay them back. I can become a man of honor. I can be faithful in here with my word. If I tell Cathy, I'm going to write the kids, write my sons, I'm going to be faithful in that little thing.
So what you're saying, Ron, is really, it starts with a word, but it's really the action, because people know who you are by watching how you live, not by what you say. So even though you made the decision first, step 1, step 2, you began to say it to yourself, and then also say it to other people, which is really hard, because we really haven't made a true commitment until we begin to tell other people that we're going to be something or do something different.
And then once you tell somebody else,
now you've got that accountability, because they're watching.
They're watching.
So every time you fall down, they're there to remind you that you fell down.
That's right.
Then the more times that you get back up, the further you go before you stumble. So at first you might fall, then you might fall, then you might just trip a little bit, then you might stumble a little bit. Before you know it, you're walking, and then you're running, because now practice has made permanent that new attribute in your life. And now that's who you are.
And the reason why you tell others, especially those in your sphere of influence, is because you're hoping that they can help you and hold you accountable to that. And in the next segment, we want to talk about the people you choose around you to help you stay accountable and become vulnerable to them, because you know what? Not everybody's a hater in your life.
and how that's going to impact your family. So we'll be right back with more tips on how you can strengthen your family through your extreme makeover.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You will begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you are not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Cathy TYRO's own personal experience with incarceration. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You will be prepared to overcome the obstacles of your incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You'll be one of the honored, a man worth following.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Cathy.
And I'm Cathy TYRO.
And we've been talking about extreme makeover. And what does that look like and what does that entail?
Not makeup, not changing how you
And we're
look.
not talking about having a penitentiary build.
Right.
You know, that's all outward. And for whatever, you know, that's good to be healthy and all that. But if the inner man is not healthy, then all of it is in vain. And so now we want to talk about the people you choose around you to help you become a man of character, or the people you choose around you that are not helping you, and how it affects your family, how it impacts the legacy that you are trying to create and those around you.
So when we talk about extreme makeover and we're talking about connecting to other people around you, I mean, the truth is you cannot be hanging around with people that are making a lot of bad choices, because you do one of two things with your friends. You either do what they do or you do without them. They're impacting you, and now you're taking that influence and pouring it into your family and into your children. So the truth is, whoever it is you're hanging around with, you're building a bridge or a liaison between them and your family. Are they safe to be around your family? Are they doing things you want your kids to be doing?
If you want to know about a person, watch who they hang around with. Because if they're hanging around people who are lames, and if you walk around with a lame, you know, you guys know it, you get a limp. But if you're not hanging around people who are reading, maybe writing a book, or doing self-help stuff and just becoming better while they're even in prison. If you're not associating yourself with men who are trying to keep in contact with their family, or doing the things, learning how to read, learning how to write. You know, there's a lot of men in prison who don't know how to read, but there's an opportunity to learn how to read so they can read to their kids. I'll tell you, there's one story. I want to just really quick say this. One of our TYROs shared with me that when he had his epiphany, when he woke up, his little kids, and he's never been back to prison now, his little kids came to see him, and he would read to his children. But one day he was at a visit, and his children began to read to him. They were like, no, Daddy, watch this, Daddy. And they started reading to him. And what happened to him, he woke up to, oh my gosh, I have missed out on something in my children's life. I missed out on a milestone. I was not there to watch and to help my children learn how to read. Somebody else did that. And he made a decision that day that I will no longer ever come back to here. I will no longer going to miss these opportunities, this privilege of raising my two little girls to become virtuous women. And so he had to wake up. So then he joined the Ridge Project. He joined the TYRO program to understand the principles. What does it take to become a man of integrity? I need an extreme makeover is what he was saying.
Because the understanding that you are, whether you like it or not, you are a man being followed. You're being followed by your children and people coming after you. You have to determine whether or not you are a man worth following, because where are you leading them? I remember in a prison visiting room, you talked earlier about your card experience. Do you remember in a prison visiting room, the AVI people had misset the machine? And so the boys and I were in line, and people were just punching numbers without putting money in, and stuff was coming out.
Oh, man.
So all these people are getting stuff, and so I put my card in, it doesn't even take any money. Stuff just comes out. I go sit down, and at first I'm thinking, oh wow, now I'm going to have money for next visit. And right away I felt that sense of, oh gosh,
conviction.
Dang it. You know what? We decided we weren't going to steal anymore. And I started thinking about whoever it was that misset that. Maybe it's coming out of their check. Started thinking about other people besides me. And so we went back up and we told the guard, we said, listen, that machine isn't working right. And so the guard looked at me, he looked out at all the other people, and all these people were sitting there like looking at me like, is she going to tell? And the guard's like, you don't have to be that honest. And so I looked at him and I said, you know what? I really do have to be that honest.
Yes, we do.
Because we had experienced what life was like not being that honest. So we went and sat down, and so Blake asked me, he's like, Mom, why did you tell? I mean, we could have had anything we wanted today. Why did you tell? And so that opened up a wonderful conversation for us that day as we talked to our sons about, we told because it was the right thing to do. And how honesty is going to get you so much further than having a feast in one day and then walking away knowing that you stole and what the implications of that is for you and the people behind you.
And that's back to, again, stealing your joy, stealing your own happiness and by tainting it with dishonesty. I remember walking up to a vending machine and, in prison at that time, there's a little line that the inmate can't cross, but your people can. And so Brandon went up there and there was some change in the vending machine. And this is a time before the debit cards. Right. And so he grabbed the change out there. He said, look, Dad, look. And I looked at it and quickly I was going to tell him, go ahead and put it in your pocket. But he didn't even wait for me. Again, this is back to my thinking, because, thinking, it takes time to get rid of it, right? So Brandon went straight to the CO's, the correction officer's desk, and he said, excuse me, sir, but this was somebody else's change, and it was left in the vending machine. And I was so proud of him that he didn't do it, because in my mind, I was like, go ahead, but he didn't do it. He did something that looked like it came so natural to him, and it was because of the upbringing that Cathy had been doing and teaching honesty in our home.
So as we created this extreme makeover experience, Ron
changing our entire culture,
changing our entire culture for our family, it infected in a positive way, affected our children, and began to create a brand new legacy for our family. I want to share another story before we go to the next segment. I remember when I was released the very first time from prison, and the boys, Cathy was homeschooling Blake and Brandon, and it's school during the week, and the boys got up in the morning and they got the books out there on the dinner table, and they're studying, and I'm like, well, what are you guys doing? And they said, well, we're studying. I said, well, I see you writing down the answers and you're looking for them. The answers are right in the back of the book, right? And they're like, yeah, we know. I said, but you don't go back there? Dad, that's cheating. I'm like, wow, you don't go, no one's here supervising you. No one's watching you. But they understood that cheating was cheating themselves, not cheating somebody else.
And I tell you, watching Cathy and watching my boys, I have to be really honest. I learned a lot in those small things, just watching my sons. I think you think you know something, but you got to watch and you can learn from others. So when we come back again, we're going to talk about how this infects your family, how you can build this legacy and for the next generation to come.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You will begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you are not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Cathy Tirina's own personal experience with incarceration. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You will be prepared to overcome the obstacles of your incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You'll be one of the honored, a man worth following.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Cathy TYRO.
And I'm Ron Cathy.
And today we've been talking about extreme makeover and what that really means and the things that we really need to work on and practical things on how to really achieve an extreme makeover for ourselves and also for our family.
And the most important thing about everything we've been talking about is really that if you're not willing to make this change, if you're not willing to do what it takes to right there where you're at, and you know, some guys would tell me, well, when I get home, I'm going to, or you know what, I only got a year left, so I'm going to lay it down and I'm just going to have recess for this whole year and then I'll begin my transformation or my change when I get home. You know what? It ain't going to happen. If you don't practice right where you're at, if you don't begin to transform where you're at right now, when you get on the streets, you're going to begin those same negative principles, those same negative thinking that got you where you're at. Remember, your best thinking got you where you're at.
That's right.
And if you're not willing to start changing now, it ain't never going to happen.
Because practice makes permanent. Whatever it is you're practicing inside is exactly what you're going to do as you transition outside. If you don't create this extreme makeover in your life, you are not going to be successful on the other side of the gates. It will mean failure for you. So if you're serious about going home and staying home and being successful, if you're serious about raising your children and changing the legacy for your family, you have to begin to work on this extreme makeover right now.
This will not only affect your children and your immediate family, but we're talking about your community and your society as a whole, from your community to the state to the nation, because all eyes are on you, Dad. All eyes are on you to be that man you said you are, because you can't snow the snowman. And if you're not who you say you are, you will be exposed for who you really are. So
as you walk away today, we hope that you take the principles and the skills and the tips that we gave you and you begin applying them right now. That right now you make the decision that you are not going to continue to go through the rest of your life the way that you've led your life up to this point. And that you're going to not only just make that decision internally, but you're going to begin to tell other people about it. You're going to begin to speak differently. You're going to begin to act differently and build a brand new legacy.
Well, thank you for joining us today on TYRO TV. I'm Ron Cathy.
And I'm Cathy TYRO.
And always remember, we are rooting for you.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of integrity.
I am a man of faith. I am the antidote.
I am a man of discipline. I am a leader.
I am strong.
I am a man worth following.
I am a TYRO.